Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime Project video. Now, I know it's been a while since the last one because we've been getting so much repeat stuff lately. I didn't feel a need to really show any repeat stuff, but I do need to go over this repeat raid event because, believe it or not, this is the very first time this has ever happened on either DMM side or our side, so this is completely new. So I'm going to try to make the most of this so far, but from what I can tell at a glance, they took the old raid format and put some of the new raid format in this. For very, very long time players, you should be familiar with this format. You just might have forgotten about it. For newer players, you have never seen this format before, so I feel a need to go over this. But first and foremost, I'm going to get this out the way. I have done an old raid video on this, so if you want much more detail on some of the stuff that you can get, go to that. But long story short, I could say without a doubt that the SSR stuff in this is not all that great. It's just for extra fodder. So this is a good time for people to either A, get an identity miss without having to spend orbs, or B, get more orbs in return. But she is definitely not worth maxing out. Period, point blank. And the weapon, only if you need to finish off a bow grid for fire, but quite frankly, you shouldn't be getting strictly defender weapons for that. But anyways, let's go over this. So the story format is just, if you haven't done it before, the story is going to be split between a few parts. And the way the old format used to work was that Divine Souls came from blue raids and the Devil Souls came from red raids. We used to get a lot more materials for this stuff too. So I'm glad they kind of did the cheaper format because it's not as much as a grind. Instead of getting about 300 souls worth of materials, it would be about it's somewhere around the same mark, but easier to get this time because this is the other thing too. The old format, raid bosses did not do too much to us. It's just that we were weaker then. So anyways, going into things, it says that you get red souls from red raids, blue souls from blue raids. Now, when you get materials from the blue raids, you get one type of material to open up the expert version. When you do that from the red ones, you get a different material. You will need both these materials to complete the entire list, just like the newer stuff. Only it's going to open up separate things. The only difference is that blue standard opens up blue expert, red standard opens up red expert, and both experts can open up Ragnarok. So keep that in mind. There's a chance that it will open up Ragnarok, but it's not guaranteed. You do not need to clear Ragnarok in order to actually get all the materials. That is something to know. But it will give you better drops. So that's something to know. Keep in mind with that. So I'm going to go over both of these. Now, blue standard, you're dealing with 700,000 HP. And red standard, you're dealing with 600,000 HP. Blue standard, you can get hit with poison and with dizzy. Poison in the normal burst from the enemy, dizzy from the raging one. Now, in red standard, it's going to be attack down for normal and blind for raging. And they did originally split the tickets too, but we don't have to worry about that. So you're still getting the same normal raid tickets. But well, the normal raid tickets for us now. But the thing is, keep in mind that both enemies are darkness, not fire. So light will have the advantage and not water. So you have to keep that in mind. But other than that, it shouldn't be too hard. It's less than 1,000,000 HP, just like the normal standards we have now. The experts, however, are about half the HP we normally get. It's just that one is for blue strategies and one is for red. I'm going to do videos of all these fights too, in one go if possible. I just need to open up a Ragnarok. But here's what's going to happen. The blue version of Cthugha for Expert is going to end up having a trigger where it has a chance to increase her own mode gauge. Both the blue and the red one seem to have this, in fact. So, that said, it's a chance that she'll try to push herself into raging, and a chance to keep that raging up, apparently. Because it can happen outside of stun, no matter what. Now, going into her actual attacks, she's just pretty much fire damage altogether. She'll either hit everybody with a lot of damage, or she'll end up hitting 3 times randomly. Now, if you're a player that's been around for a long time, or a player that's got a reasonable amount of power, this shouldn't be too hard. It should be, the damage should probably be about the same as the expert raids that we recently have, but I will go and do videos for that. But at the same time, when it comes to the HP, it's half. I can easily blow through this HP without any trouble. So if you really want to be honest, I'm going to try to do all of this with my water team. I'm not going to use my light team for any of this. I'm going to try and do it all with water. So that said, it shouldn't be too difficult. But when it comes to Ragnarok, she'll start hitting pretty hard. So you do want to reduce the damage you take. But it's the same things as before. She'll randomly boost herself up to raging. So characters that can reduce the raging meter in this will actually be kind of handy. But she'll deal a lot of damage to one person or hit you multiple times in normal. She has 10 million HP for Ragnarok whenever it appears. But it is a random chance of Ragnarok actually popping up, so keep that in mind. Now, the gachas were originally split. So that's the whole thing. We have a combined gacha now. I'm even going to go in-game and actually show that type of stuff. But this is just to show how much of things have changed, basically. This used to be what we had to get. It even gave us achievement points instead of raid points, basically. So you get achievement points from, I do believe, both gachas. And then that ends up getting you more stuff. This was one really confusing, mixed up thing because you did need 4 million achievement points along with 150 of each soul. Now it's pretty much just participation points to get, and it will give you more raid tickets. That's what I mean by it being easier, even though we need more souls this time around. But quite frankly, you have to deal with the red one less than the blue one, because the blue one is what you need the most souls in now. But quite frankly, it shouldn't be too difficult. And like I said, I'm not really going to go over this too much, but if you're really curious, here's what Cthugha has, here's what the SSR Weapon has. Neither are really worth it in my opinion. So just use them as leveling fodder, or in the case of Cthugha, just sell her for add-on orbs. Because the main thing is that Cthugha does have a decent, she does actually have a decent main effect, but it's still, her stats are horrible compared to how they usually are now. That's why I said she's not really worth it too much. Plus, eventually, when we get the Guardians for all the other elements, you're not really going to need an event add-on ever again. You really aren't. The only time you would need them is if you need to fill in sub-slots for the 120% add-ons who will eventually get buffed to 140%. Or if you need Monogarmer or Anubis. If you're not element matching, then you won't need event add-ons. You can just sell them after you get their scenes. But sometimes they do have some good effects or whatnot. But we're pretty much at the point of the game where element moments are starting to be covered by permanent stuff. So that said, event stuff is just to fill in the gaps. It always was to pretty much fill in the gaps, but it had more weight because it could actually be some of your lead stuff. Now it's pretty much filling in the gaps, especially if it's not a final break weapon. But anyways, I'm going into Kamihime Project itself. I'm not going to play any fights right now. You'll see that in a different video, because I'm not trying to have this be too long. And another thing is that we do have this Koihime crossover again. As far as I know, they've reset the stuff in it, but I'm not going over that again. You can see the previous video I've done on it before. Also need to point out that the beginner missions have been redone a little bit, so there's now 2 more layers of stuff. Worth doing all of them for that. I haven't fully done them all yet, but worth doing them for that. And the weekly missions have changed, so you get an SR gacha ticket every time you clear all the weekly missions, so do that. But anyways, the gacha is now 1 combined gacha. Period, point blank. My guess is you need these fire blades in order to get the divine souls. You need these mad blades to get to the devil souls. But again, it opens up red expert and blue expert, as you can see by the event quests. They did not combine those, unfortunately. So do this standard, where it's blue colored, to get this expert. Do this red standard to get this red expert. And Ragnarok may or may not pop up. It depends on if you're just lucky for either one of these. But all Ragnarok will do is speed things up. I think it does drop both souls, though. I'm not fully sure. And then there's storyline for this as well. If you're a newer player, you will get new stuff to actually get. So if you've jumped into this game after Cthugha's appeared, then yeah. As for the rewards, like I said, this is our reward table now. They've practically edited the more recent one, so now you can get all this stuff. That blue weapon will give you a character called Nodens. She's not too bad for water, but since at the time she came out, she's kind of like outdated. But she's still free Kamihime, so go get her. You can still get your soul points. You can still get your magic jewels. Another thing is that you may want to grind this anyways, just so you can get raid tickets, because of the simple fact that it will give you more chances at gachas and whatnot. But it's still the basics of the normal raid stuff. You pretty much need 55 devil and 50 divine to pretty much get all the SSR stuff. So it's not as grindy as you think. And plus, since you never have to touch a Ragnarok fight either, it's easier. So keep that in mind. But again, participation points just for extra tickets. I don't know if there's any special challenges, which is why I'm going to check the missions, just to make sure. But as you can see, you can get all this stuff. And you'll see what I mean about the missions I mentioned too for that real quick one. I'll go over that after the event stuff. But yeah, you can get all the stuff you need pretty much by 55. And again, this is the first time they've ever done a repeat on a raid event, ever. We didn't know how this would turn out, period, point blank. Even DMM, the Japanese one, has never gotten this. But anyways, going over the mission thing, I'm going to go back into the event. Don't forget that the event missions have renewed for this as well. Okay, so there's no event missions, period. So there's no soloing with X amount of rarity or help or whatever. There's none of that. This is what I mean by the edits. This looks familiar, but when you hit page 2, clearing lots of daily missions have now got your Dragonic Eye Shard. And you can still get an SR or higher guarantee ticket. Do both of these. Do them. Well, if you're going for this, you'll do this eventually anyways. What I like about this is the fact that you get gems for donating now. Or even playing the gem gacha. So if it says donate 1 gem and you'll get 999 more. That's all you need. You play in Gym Gacha, you pretty much get a refund. Excuse me. But also, clearing a daily quest or an accessory quest does not give you a rare level enhancement material. It gives you an SR1. And this also gives you an SR1 as well for raids. So, I don't know if you have to break limit anything. It says enhance, but you can still get your elemental materials and all that. But you get SR materials much faster. Eventually, they're probably going to edit this so you get the EXP orbs when that's implemented, because we'll get those instead of these. So it doesn't start clogging up your inventory. But that's something to know about all that. Other than that, there's only one more thing I can really go over, and that's some of this gacha stuff. Because these gachas aren't too bad. Her right there is actually a pretty decent SR character, so it might be worth getting her. This one right here is the SSR, so she may or may not be worth it. They changed the daily selection gachas, whatnot. There's a water rate increase. These are the gachas that you probably do want to deal with. Now, this is going to give you the SSR break limit items. This is going to give you guaranteed pulls for SSR, Kamihime, or Adolan. And then there's the standard bag, which only gives you like SR stuff. Along with this, your guaranteed light element, I don't know if it's only light element, but it's 2 SR. So I'm going to go into gacha details to see if there's any other element. Okay, as far as I can tell, it's only light element. So if possible, pull this if you're working on a light team. Especially since Monogarmer's in there too. I don't think it gives rate ups, it's just really better chances at that stuff. It's only light focused. As far as I know, you can only do all of this stuff one time each. This light element one is only 3,000 star coins, so it's really not that different compared to other stuff. This is where it gets a little pricey. This grab bag is 3,000. Nothing new. This grab bag is going to give you a lot of good stuff, but it's almost $100, so it's pretty expensive. These are the normal stuff. They'll be like the normal 3,000. So this all can be pretty expensive, but it's all worth it in my opinion. So that's all I'd really need to say about that one. Other than that, grind out the events because you can still get magic jewels. Between the repeat raid and a repeat advent, you can get 6,000 magic jewels. So, and then the repeat raid can still get more just from the gachas. So, if you do the raid gacha and get a lot of stuff, you can get some extra stuff on that. Other than that, beginner mission, do as much as you can with it. I've got my 4th copy of that that one weapon, but this is the other reason why you want to do this. I'm eventually going to do all this because of the simple fact that I'm going to just play it naturally and just not even worry about it. You don't have to rush for it. Just keep this in mind that you will get some very, very good stuff. And this is the king prize here because this thing gives you one of the non-Kamihime weapons. And if you're lucky, that means you get one of these weapons here for the Dragonic Eyes. A lot of them are pretty good and they all final break. Me personally, I've racked up quite a bit of Dragonic Eyes. I got 8 of them now. I'm almost at the point where I can awaken 3 Kamihime, or even sit back and wait for this one. Like 2 of these, or even this SSR guarantee ticket. But this is what I'm talking about. Ascalon is definitely one of the weapons to go for this. Because it's 2 stacks of assault, basically. This one isn't too bad if you can really make use of Stinger. It's only towards win. This one's a Defender Assault, pretty safe bet. But it says Inferno for both, so it's large to both of them. But this is a pretty safe bet. If you're going for a Fire Hammer grid, this is probably what you want to go for. There's this, which is Assault Rush. It's not that great. There's this Assault Exceed. This is always worth it for any element if you really go focus for powerful teams. Defender Ascension is a pretty good combo if you need some survivability. There's this one, which is Assault Exceed. This one I like quite a bit because just as this, it's still pretty good. But having that on Shingen for some reason, or any soul that can handle bows, will heal my whole team by 3,000 when I actually do a burst with that soul. But then this goes up even more. This gets you pretty close to the barrage cap because supposedly it's 5%. So with that, it'll give you, I think, roughly 3% of it at skill level 30. And this Defender Rush is not all that great. I've actually had that weapon a few times. I got rid of them. Assault Stinger. This one's Assault Exceed. Anytime you see Assault Exceed, it's worth. Defender Pride, which is also just as good as Assault Defender. So that's not too bad. This one is a little bit underrated, but it's also overrated at the same time. For Lance Grids, this can actually be pretty good because it comes with an Assault, but it gives a Rush. Because of the fact that Michael comes with a Rush buff as well, and she's highly valued for light, it actually could be worth it. But me personally, I don't think it is for the grids that I'm trying to set up. This one's Defender Ascension, of course. This one's the Dark Stinger. It's really not all that worth. And this one's Assault Barrage. Assault Barrage is always a good combo. And if you manage to get these type of things. Now, why I'm showing you these weapons, that beginner mission ticket will give you one of these weapons from this list. So there's certain ones you definitely want to keep, some you do not want to keep. That's why I tried to quickly go over it. And unfortunately, if you want to get more of them, you have to either A, get 5 Dragonic Eyes to randomly pull another one of them, or you have to get 15 to get another copy of the weapon. Why I say that is because it's not recommended to get the 20 eyes to break them at one of these weapons, because you really could have went cheaper. You could have got 4 tickets, or you could have got 1 copy with the weapon and a ticket. Save these for the gacha weapons, not these ones. But anyways, that's all for this video. More is going to come soon. This would have been way longer if I really tried to go over some stuff, but like I said, grind out the event. It's not that hard, especially considering the fact that for long-time players, especially those like me, these enemies have less HP than most of the ones that we've faced so far from the raid events. So it's not that hard. It really isn't. So if you're capable of soloing Expert or even Ragnarok on the normal event raids, you can blow through this easily. You probably don't even need any help whatsoever. But it does help speed things up if you do invite other people, so keep that in mind. And then there's no special missions for this either, so there's nothing stopping you from grinding the crap out of this event. Just keep in mind, blue colored raids are towards Divine Souls. Red colored raids are towards Devil. Ragnarok can do either one. So that said, grind them out. But anyways, that's all for this. More is going to come soon, and take care.